Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 5 announcements. I apologize about the delay this week, but here are the announcements for the week. So we are going to go over the article critique assignment, touch base briefly about your research proposal assignment, go over some feedback and some reflections and some observations about last week's discussion, and then I will leave you with your checklist for this week. So last week you signed up for your article critique and you're allowed to work together or by yourself. So here's what we have. So I have one group that I've already created an assignment for in perusal. Stephanie, Kelly, and Panina are doing the sports involvement study. So thank you. That one is good to go. Now, a few people expressed interest in dating violence, Eric C. and Ashanti. So please let me know if you would like to work independently or if you would like to collaborate, and then I'll make your assignment. For STEM education, there were 3 people interested, Colleen, Eric A, and Lauren. Again, let me know if you want to collaborate or if you prefer to work independently. And then several people were interested in the article about uniforms, John, Rosalind, Liz, Ashley, Deja, and Jeff. So if any of you would like to partner up, please let me know, or I'll make you individual assignments. So again, once I know whether or not you're working by yourself or with a partner, I'll create an assignment for you in Perusal where you can get started. And when you are doing this article critique, you are using this table from our text from chapter either 3 or 4 about how to review educational research. So this is the checklist for how to review quantitative studies. So as you can see here, they talk about what to look for in the introductory sections of the paper, including the literature review, things about the research purpose and the literature they consulted. These are the discussion questions for the method that you are going to be critiquing, the results, the discussion, and then the final evaluation. So I'm going to go to Perusal and show you what your assignment will look like. So this is the assignment that is for Stephanie, Kelly, and Panina. Again, once I know if you're working by yourself or independently, you will be able to work on this. So you have your checklist over here. And then once you are wanting to make an annotation, you'll highlight the text and you will make your annotation. Now, as far as scoring for this assignment is worth 10 points. And the expectation is that you have at least 10 high quality annotations throughout the article. So maybe a couple there, and this checklist has 28. So you wouldn't have to do every single one, but maybe a third of them, and go into depth detail and really explain and annotate what your thoughts are. So for instance, are the research questions clearly stated? You might do an annotation about the research questions, their strengths and their weaknesses. So let me make sure that you can see. Okay, so if you have not signed up for an article, please go ahead and sign up for an article this week so I can go ahead and get that assigned to you in Perusal and you can get started working on that assignment. And that is due next month, October 23rd, but of course, it's good to always get started early. Now, we do have a check-in coming in before that, October 16th, for your research proposal. So this is, again, another ungraded check-in for you to get feedback from me and make sure that you're on the right track. So here you'll have your final research issue, your final research questions, which we've already started thinking about, and then your potential design. Are you thinking quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods? And then your potential data collection methods. What sources will you use for your data? And as we continue to read this week, maybe you're sampling and different things that you will want to consider. And you will also include 3 potential references, just the citations for articles that are relevant to your study that you will include in your proposal. Okay, so let's move on to some discussion and feedback from last week's perusal, which was over chapters 7 and 8, all about measurement and then validity and reliability. So you had so many great questions in perusal and some interesting comments and opinions. So one of those was about the assumptions that you need in order to use these measurements and tools to evaluate and carry out quantitative studies. And I thought there was really interesting discussion about bias and whether or not it's possible for tests and assessments to ever be biased. And then this one right here with continued work and updating fair and unbiased tests can be developed. Someone made a great point. So does that assume that they are inherently biased to begin with, which I thought was a good point. And then a lot of you had really great reflections and connections to how you see this play out in your work. So standardized assessments, some of the benefits, some of the negatives, how they can be useful, and then how they can also cause harm. So I really enjoyed seeing that critical thought about some of these assumptions. And I think that that will help you both in your article critique and then in designing your own research proposal as well. So it was interesting to hear also what your thoughts were on your potential data collection sources will be. So, some people mentioned interviews, focus groups, and then the connection to observations. Someone mentioned that as a special education teacher, that is a technique that they've used to collect data, using that timed interval scale to collect behavioral observation, maybe every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every minute, depending on the situation. And then there was also some good discussion about using secondary and existing data, which can be a great strategy, and then also archival data. I really enjoyed hearing your comments. Oh, this was a great question that Chloe had about measurement. So she asked, thinking about, how difficult it is to develop your own tool or measurement tool versus using an existing one. And it depends on the tool that you're developing. If you're developing an instrument or a tool to measure a broad construct like self-esteem, self-efficacy, um, or even like proficiency in a particular area like reading proficiency, math proficiency, developing those tools can be quite difficult and can even become someone's entire career as they work to perfect that tool and gather the empirical evidence that they need to demonstrate reliability for that tool. So if you are using a construct like self-esteem, like maybe something related to socio-emotional learning like empathy, or something related to school climate like positive attitudes towards the workforce, you might consider using an existing tool or measurement. But researchers also develop their own tools and measurements if they are doing research in a more specialized setting that is more closely aligned to the research participants that they have. So, for example, a teacher might, if they are designing their own curriculum, if this would be more of like an action research approach. If they're designing their own curriculum, they will also design their own assessment to evaluate the effectiveness. Also with program evaluation, that might be something that they would use in addition to carrying out how effective that program was. So there was really great discussion about the videos that I shared, and you guys inspired me to try to include more of these in the lectures as well. I think it's great to always see the research come to life in some examples. So this one, I really liked all of your comments as you were connecting to this one about systematic observation, about food in movies and TV shows, and how you notice some of the effects that the researchers found in your everyday life. And then also in the one using archival research, about some of the racial bias that we see in states and some of the researchers' suggestions for how to work against that and resist that. Okay, so I wanted to share with you this video about a measurement tool that researchers were developing, just so you could see some of the process that they go through when they are developing new tools and instruments and tests and assessments that can be used and can be considered reliable for use when carrying out educational research. And this one is about reading or literacy acquisition. Oh, let me share my sound. Okay.
Starting from second to third, fourth grade, children transition from learning how to read to using reading as a tool for learning. So quickly, math becomes word problems, learning history becomes reading books. So detecting reading difficulties early on is one of the most impactful things that can be done for a child early in education.
The ROAR is a rapid online assessment of reading, which is a set of reading screeners to assess foundational reading skills.
So it can be used to detect children that are struggling, that are falling behind. It can also be used to monitor how children's reading abilities are growing over time.
Reading development research has historically been dependent on one-on-one assessment administration of standardized behavioral measures of reading ability. That is really time and resource intensive. It requires a trained human proctor or clinician to administer these tests face-to-face.
From our measure, our idea was to try to create a tool that gets this same type of measure, that gets the same type of score, but can be done to a whole classroom or a whole school district of children at the same time. So we started exploring developing web apps that took psychology experiments, kind of typical cognitive science experiments, and gamified them in a way to be interesting and engaging for young children that in the background are indexing different aspects of their word recognition abilities.
With that information, we hope that teachers and interventionists can identify students who may need additional support or monitoring.
We've been fortunate to be able to partner with Bay Area schools around Stanford, but we really want to make sure that this assessment is widely accessible and available to schools outside of the university community. We've been starting to partner with schools in the Midwest and on the East Coast. Through their insights, we're also refining the tools and making it much more usable.
One of the guiding principles for our team is that we've decided that we want to adhere to an open source and open access model. We want to create systematic links between the research that's going on here at Stanford and elsewhere and what's going on in the classroom. So it really is a back and forth cycle where hopefully we're providing our school district partners a useful service, and they're providing us a lot of valuable insights into the best use cases and the best future directions for this development.
Okay. So here is your checklist for this week. So by next Sunday, you will read chapters 10 and 11. I accidentally skipped chapter 9, so I'm going to try to include just a lecture just to give you the information, but you're not, you don't need to worry about doing that on perusal for this week. And then perusal number 5, which will be about chapters 10 and 11. Again, if you haven't done so yet, please choose your article for the article critique assignment. This week, we do have an optional Zoom. We would love to see you there. That will be this Thursday, September 22nd at 5:15. The link is in iCollege already. So if you're interested, you can come and join us there. And I did want to put on your radar that our midterm exam is coming up in a few weeks. That is going to be the week of October 3rd. And the way that that will work, that week there will be no new reading, but there will be a lecture and there will be a perusal with review. So you'll have a chance to review throughout the week, and then the midterm assessment will be available on iCollege. So you can take it at any time. Once you feel ready, you can start the exam. It is timed. So once you start, you have, I think, 3 hours to finish. So I just wanted to put that on your radar, but of course you can use your perusal notes to help you study and get ready. So I hope you have a great week, and I hope to see you on Thursday. Bye-bye.